Hello and welcome to No Filter, a Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Wizrad, and this is episode 10 being recorded on February 3rd, 2018. And sorry guys, this is a little bit later than I usually do these episodes, but I have been sick over the last week or so. In fact, you guys might hear in my voice I'm a little bit congested right now. But I definitely want to get this episode out for you guys. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. But I am going to try to make this a little bit shorter episode. I am feeling a little bit under the weather still, but there's quite a lot to talk about, so let's just get started. Let's start off with the news. I have actually quite a few topics to talk about here. A lot of stuff's happened over the last week or so. First off, Atlas, they had a survey that went out to Japanese players asking about future games and what platforms they wish those games would go on to. So one of the games was possibly Persona 6. Where do they want the Persona series going forward? And Switch was one of the categories that people could answer as, and I could totally see Switch getting a whole bunch of backing from Japanese players at least, and I think that'd be pretty amazing to see Persona 6 arrive on the Switch on a Nintendo platform, a Persona game, really, because Nintendo's kind of owned the mainline Shin Megami Tensei series, but they have not gotten a single Persona game. It's been a Sony exclusive, so that'd be a huge deal if Persona 6 came onto the Nintendo platform. I beat Persona 5 and it's a fantastic game, but the one fault I found in that is that it wasn't portable. Where Persona 4 Golden was portable on the Vita, Persona 5 not being portable really kind of dropped it a little bit for me. Not a fault of the game itself, but just the platform that it's on just didn't lend to the game as well as it could if it was on Switch or on Vita. But yeah, anyway, guys, so like other than that, that's one of the games. They also could have mentioned Etrian Odyssey games, Devil Survivor, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really cool survey to see coming out from Atlas, and that'd be awesome to see Persona games coming onto a Nintendo platform. Next bit of news is the Xbox Game Pass. So this Game Pass is coming out for $9.99 per month. And Xbox just recently announced that all of their first-party exclusives are coming to Game Pass day one, including Sea of Thieves, Crackdown, future Halo games, Forza games, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, but seriously, how many games is that? Like, everyone, I don't really get the Game Pass thing as much as everyone else seems to. I get that it sounds like a pretty cheap, decent deal, $120 a year to get all these games for free, but really, how many first-party Xbox games are coming out every year? Like 2? Like maybe this year 3 with Crackdown and all this stuff. I'm not seeing the big draw here. Not to mention it is just renting it. You don't own the game. You can't resell it later. I don't know. I feel like it's, they're really kind of smoke and mirrors, kind of blocking everyone's mind off of what the actual service is and what it's doing. And I don't like it. You're renting the games. There's nothing else to it. If people like to just rent the games and don't care about it going forward, that's fine. But for me, being either a collector on my side or a person who wants to play the games and I can resell those games and get back a lot of the money I put into it, this is not appealing to me whatsoever. And it being a Microsoft platform with Xbox, they barely have any first-party studios making games anyway. So yeah, not really anything for me. But one thing that is a big possible change here, another little bit of news, is that apparently Microsoft is looking to purchase EA or Valve, which would be insane, especially if they bought Valve. And how I see it, if they bought Valve and they owned like Steam, for example, going forward, Microsoft would just absolutely kill it. That's probably what they're going to do. They probably see the Xbox brand is really losing value, and this might be one of the ways they go. If not, and they're just trying to bolster up the Xbox brand again, and they buy EA, that would be crazy too. Imagine Xbox owning the NFL, NHL, FIFA licenses and stuff like that. That'd be pretty insane to see. I don't know how it would all actually work out. They'd probably do something similar to what they did with Mojang, and they'd probably still release it on other systems. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Something's weird, but If that happens, that'd be crazy. I don't know if we'll see anything about that for a long while, but that'd be pretty crazy and that'd be massive if that did happen. So, next bit of news is Earth's War. So this is a little bit smaller, but I did want to talk about it. Earth's War, which is also called Earth's Dawn, that was released on PS4 and Xbox One, I believe. So originally this was a $39.99 game. I found one at Toys R Us for $29.99 on sale. Which is crazy, and it is on the eShop for $5. Renamed Earth's War, it's no longer published by Rising Star Games, and there it is for $5, brand new release, and yeah, I got it right away. So I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It does look pretty good, and for $5, I just had to step in and grab it. So that's one game you guys might be interested in as well. Next bit of news, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So apparently there's an advanced new game plus kind of mode that's supposed to come out sometime mid-February. So Tetsuya Takahashi, the owner, I guess the main guy of Monolith Soft, he mentions with the 1.3.0 update that we'll see mid-February that they'll add new story content, that they'll add this new game mode, new game plus mode, I guess, at mid-February, which is insane considering how long the game is already, and people are going to go right all the way through it again. That's crazy, but for me, I still need, the new story content as an excuse to jump back in. I'm waiting for that, and then I can go through the other side missions they added, because I did get the DLC. I just had to with Xenoblade. As soon as they put in the new story content, that's when I'll go back and I'll dig into Xenoblade Chronicles 2 again, because I just have so many other games to play that I don't want to stick on Xenoblade for more than the 120 hours I've already put into it. So another bit of news. So these next three are three big ones, very recent as well. The Switch shipped just under 15 million units as of December 31st, 2017. So it shipped, so they probably sold through maybe 12, 13. Either way, that's pretty insane. That's really cool. It's officially outsold the Wii U now for Nintendo, which is really crazy. And, congratulations to the Switch, and let's see if they can keep this momentum going through 2018, because right now the game lineup doesn't seem to be as crazy as one would hope. Especially when you do compare it to 2017, which was just absolutely bonkers how amazing it was. So we'll see how it goes. But either way, huge accomplishment for Nintendo, and that's great to see. Other couple announcements for sales-wise. Super Mario Odyssey sold over 9 million units in under 2 months. In around 2 months, Odyssey sold 9 million units. That is insane. I'm super happy to see that. And yeah, that's just really exciting. Breath of the Wild sold under 7 million. I believe it was like 6.5 or something like that. I'd love to see Breath of the Wild get even more sales. It deserves it. I believe, in my opinion, it deserves even more sales than Odyssey does. Obviously doesn't reach out to as many people, but I never understood why Zelda never had even more of a following than most other games. Does it really look that demanding that a lot of the casual kind of players don't even bother jumping into Zelda games? I don't know, it's always kind of baffled me that it never sold. It really isn't even in the top 3 Nintendo franchises, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy that it isn't, but either way, over almost 7 million is really good for a Zelda game, and I'm really happy to see that. So next, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that was over 7 million, which is, that's crazy. It already sold ridiculous on the Wii U, and it just shows you guys how important Mario Kart games are and how that is one of Nintendo's biggest franchises out there. I still haven't got it yet. I did sell my Mario Kart on the Wii U in anticipation to get the one Deluxe for Switch, but I don't know, maybe one time I'll see it on sale at an EB Games or something, then that's when I'll grab it. But as of right now, no reason for me to grab it yet. And the final bit of sales talk I wanted to go over is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 selling over 1 million units in under a month. That is So good to see. I love that. Thank you, Switch owners. Really happy everyone's actually picking the game up, giving it a chance, because Xenoblade series is one of the best out there, and I'm so happy to see Xenoblade Chronicles 2 performing so well, especially being in such a niche video game genre that a lot of people don't really look at and just kind of disregard. So that's great to see, and let's hope it jumps up to 1.5. Who knows, maybe it has some evergreen legs like a lot of these other titles do. So the next bit of news, Mario Kart Tour on mobile. So this came out of the investors meeting, I guess, following all these sales numbers, where Kimishima brought up that Mario Kart Tour, their next mobile venture, will be coming out before March 2019, before the next fiscal year. And that is really interesting. That's really cool that this is the next mobile game that they're going to go for. It makes sense, because Mario Kart is one of the biggest IPs they have. A lot of people went through some of the other ones here, but, they've already hit the Mario, they've hit the Animal Crossing, and now they're hitting Mario Kart. Fire Emblem's kind of the outlier, which is weird because it's also probably the best performing game out of all of them. So that's really crazy to see. And they didn't give us any information, just a logo. But yeah, I think it'd be really awesome to see this. I did hear a really cool idea from Roger's Base, actually, where he was saying it could be more of like a top-down rally racing type game, which I think would be really, really cool. Keep the when you hear about Nintendo talking about mobile games, they're saying they just want to be able to use it with one thumb. Don't need to, multiple hands all over the phone doing all this stuff. Just one thumb, kind of like Super Mario Run. I think that'd be really cool if they could do a one thumb kind of control system with a rally car. Maybe you swipe left and that's just turning the wheel left, or swipe right to the right. I think that could be really cool. I'd love to see it as a rally racing thing. I don't know if that might alienate the fan base if they say, hey, no, this isn't Mario Kart how I remember it. I don't know. So we'll see kind of what their thoughts are. But either way, this is really exciting to see. It does make me wonder where the next Mario Kart game, if there is a Mario Kart Switch coming out, if that would kind of work together with it, or if or there just won't be one on Switch because we already have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So we'll see where that goes, but that is a really interesting announcement, and that's really cool to see. And I'm sure their stock probably flew through the roof as well as soon as they heard that Mario Kart Tour is coming to the mobile. So. And the last bit of news is Illumination and Nintendo finally confirmed their partnership, bringing a Mario movie, out. So that's really cool. I guess they announced it that Chris Mellon Dodge or something, he's the head guy at Illumination. He's co-producing with Shigeru Miyamoto, so they're both working on the movie, which is really cool. I'm not a Despicable Me or a Minions movie fan. I've never enjoyed the movies. I did enjoy the Lorax and a couple of the other sort of movies from Illumination. But the movies all look good. The animation is good. It's just I didn't appreciate the stories of Despicable Me or anything like that. I've always liked it. I never understood. Everyone, I think a lot of these kind of characters get unwarranted hate. I have no qualms about the Minions. I never had any qualms about the Rabbids. They're funny characters for children, and that's what they do. So I don't know. I think they get a lot of unwarranted hate, but Illumination working on a Mario movie, so this should be interesting. We'll see how this goes with other video game movies, but I have hope here because a couple things. Shigeru Miyamoto is co-producing, which is great. I love that he is. I could tell he's getting kind of stagnant with his game development. He didn't really, after Star Fox Zero and everything like that, I don't think he just wants to just do a game anymore. He wants to do something new, something different. That's why he probably did that with the Wii U gamepad, and he wants to try new things. He's probably at the time of his career where he's like, why would I want to do the same thing I've been doing for the last 40 years of my life, So I think it's cool to see him that he's going to be co-producing this. And this Chris M guy from Illumination. So I did like a brief Wikipedia lookup of the guy, and he was one of the founders of DreamWorks, one of the founders of Blue Sky, and then he founded Illumination on his own. This guy has some serious industry knowledge. He started up all these other studios, and a lot of those are actually owned by Disney now, with Disney purchasing Fox. So you can tell why a lot of these other studios wouldn't have done this movie. It had to have been Illumination, not just because of their connections with Universal and Nintendo's connection to them with the theme park, but but because a lot of these other studios are now owned by Disney, and Disney aren't going to be doing a Mario movie. At least I wouldn't see that, and it's no way in hell would we ever see a Pixar doing like a Mario movie. That'd be insane. They would never do that. So, a lot of people are complaining and saying, oh, it could be anybody else. And like, well, no, it couldn't. And to be honest, a lot of those other ones aren't exactly that good. So, the only consistently good animation studio out there is Pixar. What else do you want? So, either way, this guy, Chris, he has a lot of experience in the industry. Illumination does do good animation. Apparently, they do it for relatively cheap. I can imagine Nintendo doesn't want to take that risk with their thing. So if you put enough time into any of these professional animation studios, they can do good work. Like the Minions movie looks clean. Despicable Me movies look all clean. I can totally see it doing well. And I'm optimistic for this. I'm really excited to see how they do this with the Mario world. I know we've seen like Mario characters in Wreck-It Ralph and stuff like that. But this is something that could be really cool. Are they going to have Charles Martinet voice Mario? I would love to see that, but how much voice of Mario would they want to throw in there? Because it could be a little bit overwhelming. Who knows? Are they going to get? They're gonna. It's a studio like this. They're gonna get. In Japan they'll have their own voice actors, but sort of like Studio Ghibli films or something, they're going to have a lot of big names voicing in this movie here, not to mention a lot of celebrities that would probably beg to be in the movie because, just because they're big Nintendo fans or something like that. I could see Jimmy Fallon like begging to be in the movie, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff like that could happen, a lot of potential here, and needless to say, I'm really excited. I have faith, and I can't wait to hear more. The movie probably won't be out for another like 4 years or something like that at least anyway. With animation studios, I know it takes Pixar 4 to 5 years to render a full video kind of a thing, so it could be even more than 4 or 5 years out, so we'll see where it is, but this is really exciting, so... But anyway, that's the end of all of the news for this week. I'm going to talk about some of the games I've been playing, which is quite a bit now. First game I've been playing, I finished Persona 5. So I did a post on my Twitter at Wizrad, 138 hours. To be honest, it was probably more like 130, over all that time. Sometime I would just leave it on a pause screen, have the music playing in the background. I'd be, making some dinner or something like that. So I'd say probably more around 130 hours. So this was an incredibly long RPG. Absolutely loved it. I maxed my affinities with, maxed my confidant ranks with On, Makoto, Ryuji, Hifumi, Haru, Futaba, Chihaya, Oya, Mishima, the Twin Wardens, and I only got 9 for Shido, which sucked because I know that he had a deadline at some point. I think it was in October. And I got him to 9, and then he, over the next like 4 or 5 days before the election, he did not show up on the map thing for me to go hang out with him to get my confident rank to 10. It really sucked. I kept going to Chihaya to up his his rank a little bit, so we'd hopefully get that final 10. But so that sucks. I didn't get the 10 for Shido, but. So really I just maxed out all the girls, all the ones I cared about for that, some of the other ones that would be useful during the game, and the ones like Yusuke I just didn't really care about, so I just didn't really follow through with that. So Yeah, so the music was amazing. The visuals and the art style are on point. It's fantastic. The style of the menus, the SMT battle system is one of the best right here. It's second to Apocalypse, I think, from what I remember, but the Persona 5 battle system is, again, the second best in the whole Shin Megami Tensei universe for me, so that is a huge benefit because, I'm a huge Shin Megami Tensei fan, so to see Persona game doing really well for the battle system is really, really kind of impressive. Yeah, the story was great. It hit a bit of a lull late game, but it definitely picked up again going through. The characters are all fantastic. I just absolutely loved them. You actually care for them. And I've been talking about Persona 5 for a few weeks now. And this game is, this is definitely in my top for 2017. It's definitely up there. I might have to do a relook at this after I go through Horizon Zero Dawn as well, but yeah, this game was something special, and I highly suggest anyone who's a JRPG fan, give it a go. It's so much fun, and yeah, it just leaves a lasting impression on you as well. Even with some of the negatives it did have, it's definitely not a perfect game, but yeah, no, it's something really special. And again, I put 138 hours into the game, and yeah, I just couldn't put it down. So fantastic. Following Persona 5, I decided to play Inside on PS4. So, as you guys know, Inside is from the creators of Limbo, and I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. I played it through in one night. It only took maybe, I think, 3 hours to complete, but I'm glad I got it. It was pretty short for that reason. I'm glad I got it for free, but it is much better than Limbo. I liked Limbo when I played through it, but I never understood why so many people latched onto that and saying, oh, this is the best indie game ever. I'm like, what? Are you guys fucking high? Are you serious? No way. But, it was a good game, but man, Inside is so much better than Limbo. Absolutely loved it. The chase scenes in it were so well not choreographed, but so well designed. The intelligent puzzle solving, particularly in the first hour was so great, like everything kind of flows so well together. It really makes you feel like you're solving a puzzle on the fly in your mind, that it's not just like a, something that they put together for you. Like, oh, hey, here's 3 blocks. Let's put them in the shape of a staircase to climb up. No, it's really intelligent. And something I really respect in the game because it never blatantly kind of tells you what to do, and that's something that's really good. A little bit later in the latter half of the game, it got a little bit more into the typical problem solving of games like this, which was kind of annoying because I had such a high with the first hour and a half or so. But it's still, even with that, those puzzles were still more intelligent and kind of gave the player more respect than a lot of other kind of puzzle platformer games usually do. There's no UI pretty much in the whole game. It was all just a smooth experience from start to finish. Really, throughout the whole game, there was no reason for you to think, hey, this is where I'm going to stop, save, go to bed, wake up, play through it again or something. You know what I mean? It's not really, with the no UI, it doesn't really lend to that, and I feel like a lot of this game does lend to just playing it through once straight through. And again, I absolutely loved it. Highly suggest everyone gives it a go. I think it's $14.99. If you find it on sale, definitely pick it up for that. It was a really, really cool game, some really cool scenes, and I don't want to spoil anything else for you guys. So those are my thoughts on Inside. Oh, this is getting tough with the cold. Let's just get on to the next game, though. Rive Ultimate Edition. So this game is from the developer Two Tribes. These are guys who created Toki Tori and a few other games, mainly known for Nintendo platforms. And sadly, they're closed down. They announced that before Rive, I believe, was even released. But this is the last game of theirs. And this might be a good swan song for them, really. This was really cool. So it's a run and gun type shooter, but it's a mix of platforming and top down space shooter kind of a thing. And it's really kind of crazy, but basically what it is just super hectic, tough battles with super smooth First off, it's 60 frames per second with so much crap going on the screen. It's crazy. Very pretty to watch and perfect for a handheld game. The HD rumble they use in the game was so great. I loved it when they have like cutscenes or something, they have it as if someone's like typing on like an old keyboard, and you can feel like the typing throughout the Joy-Cons, like to the minute detail. It was really cool to feel and experience. I will be doing a video about HD rumble and Switch games soon, but yeah, this is one of the ones that did it really well. One thing I didn't like about the game, though, I just didn't like the world. Like, the world it created and the characters. It just, nothing grabbed onto me. It almost just made me feel, like, this is kind of a weird world. Like, it looks pretty, everything looks nice, but it's just, like, the banter between the main character and, like, this robot didn't really work. I don't know, it could have been much more, I don't know, like, it just didn't really work. Like, what they're saying, their voice acting, it just didn't work for me and just didn't make the world seem interesting. Maybe they should have just made it, I don't know, make a little bit more serious, because like the whole thing was like jokes right after you go through this huge crazy battle with explosions everywhere and stuff. Then it's just like, oh, that could have hurt. It's like, oh, why? It's just not good. So I didn't like that at all about the game. But other than that, like as far as just the game goes, so damn good. Like the gameplay itself is so much fun. The bosses are insane. This really was Two Tribes at its finest here. And for me, I really just kind of put on like a YouTube video in the background and I'd play through this. But yeah, if you guys love challenging games, definitely pick this one up. If you like shooters like this, yeah, it's something special. So I definitely suggest this game for anyone who's interested in something like that. And again, Two Tribes, thank you for this game. And I appreciate all the development you guys have done over the years for Nintendo platforms. And honestly, I hope you guys at some point maybe jump back into the ring a little bit. That'd be really cool to see. So until next time, I guess. And the last game I've been playing. Yes, I've been sick over the last week, right? So I've been playing a lot of games. Infamous Second Son. So I finally got to play this on the PS4. And I beat it just the other day. It was a relatively short campaign. At the start, I was doing a lot of the side missions and stuff. But then, throughout it, I was kind of getting a little bit bored with them. So then I just went right through the story. It probably took me about 9 hours or so to go through it. Okay, so first off, I did enjoy the game quite a little bit, but I just can't stand the world and the story. It is awful. I mean, just the whole premise and how everything's carried around with the characters and how the world is and how it reacts to these guys as bioterrorists. It just doesn't feel good about being in the game at all. It just doesn't click with anything. I just did not like that at all. I just felt gross being in it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but whatever that was, how it is with like the civilians are just living normal lives, but it's like, oh yeah, just 7 years ago, everyone was like fucking dead. Yeah. Then they have like these comic segments, and then you're just going around killing people, and everyone just walking around fine, having coffee in their Seattle fucking coffee shops. I don't know. It just did not feel good to me, just in everything. Even when they try to get the story to somewhere, the characters just kind of let it down. I don't know. Clearly this game was a little bit rushed to make it to the I guess relatively in the first, I think, was this first year of PS4? I think this was like late in the first year of the PS4. Clearly it was rushed a little bit, but I don't know. Those are the negatives for the game. Other than that, a lot of content, really enjoyed that. The world itself, like as far as the design, is really cool. But yeah, no, the actual gameplay, like the traversal exploration aspect and how all you have these 4 different powers that you can use to traverse and go through and battle and stuff like that. Super cool, much better than the first 2 Infamous games. And really, if they do another Infamous game, I'd love to see them expand on that gameplay element, but try to make an engaging world that doesn't make you feel like you just want to puke your ass off or something. I don't know. Just again, the world was so bad. just the story and the premise around it. But yeah, no, again, other than that, though, the actual gameplay was so good. The combat itself with people could be a little bit better. Just the hand-to-hand combat was pretty awful. But the range combat and just how you traverse around everything was pretty cool. Yeah, you know what? Like I did like it. I did have First Light, which is one of the big DLC packs. That was released following that I believe was released as like a $30 separate game where you followed Fetch. I was gonna play it, but then I was just like, man, I don't feel like going back into this game. So I guess maybe I didn't like it as much as I'm saying as it was, but I did like, the exploration and moving around the world. And whenever I played this, I would just kept thinking, man, why didn't Sony have Sucker Punch work on the next Spider-Man? You know what I mean? Like, if they had some good direction from Marvel about how to do the story around Spider-Man and this world around Spider-Man, I think Sucker Punch could have done a fantastic job on a new Spider-Man game, because they have all this experience with Infamous games. But evidently it is Insomniac Games doing the new Spider-Man. It's just weird that they didn't have Sucker Punch do it. But, because so much of their style and everything kind of relates to that. I'm sure they built Infamous off of a lot of the older Spider-Man games of the open world traversal. Either way, I did enjoy the game for what it was. And, yeah, I'll see if they have another Infamous game, and I'll see if I might pick it up when that comes out. So, and yeah, that's the last game I wanted to talk about. I do have one quick bit of hot matches, I guess you could say, talking about some Switch ports. So for this very quick segment of hot matches, I wanted to kind of go over this Arlo, Nintendo Beyond, and now kind of Rogers Base discussion about ports on the Nintendo Switch. So, I talked about Nintendo Beyond recently before in one of the older things, and he's very controversial in a lot of stuff he says, and clearly the guy isn't like stable or something now, but he has some really good content, and I do still like watching him, even if the guy's kind of full of shit sometimes. But yeah, here are my 2 cents about this if you guys have been following this. So basically, Arlo put out a new video recently talking about in defense of Switch ports. That was one of the first videos on Arlo's I disliked, because I just don't like the idea of defending Switch ports. Even if he did have some really good points in the video, I didn't agree with all of them. Nintendo Beyond did a response directly to Arlo talking about that. He had some good points back as well, but he also had a lot of bullshit stuff as well. And then in another video, Nintendo Beyond and Rogers Base, they had a whole discussion about that again as well, just talking about the Switch ports, where Roger kind of drilled home to Josh, saying like, hey, yeah, you're wrong, you're being ignorant here, blah blah blah. But yeah, basically here are my 2 cents. The ports themselves are not bad. Of course they're not bad. And again, as the Wii U did not perform well, it's great to see that a lot of the gems on the Wii U are getting released for a whole new set of people, especially those that deserved even more sales, like Donkey Kong Country, Bayonetta, all that kind of stuff. So, that's only a good thing. I don't think anyone's arguing against that. However, if the ports are all they are releasing, that is not good. This isn't the case. There are all these indie games coming out, there's all this other stuff, but in Nintendo Beyond and Josh Thomas's view, he just kind of ignores the indie games, just out of blatant ignorance, and third-party games for the most part. He just kind of ignores them. Then yeah, I can see where he is coming from, like if he's not interested in a lot of the indie games that are coming out, which, to be fair, there are a lot of indie games that aren't looking too hot on the eShop, but that isn't to say that there aren't, like, every week there's at least 2 or 3 ones that are definitely worth taking a look at least. But yeah, so he doesn't pay attention to the indie games, and he doesn't pay attention to third-party games, then yeah, I can see where he's coming from. And I'm sort of in the same place right now, except I actually play games, and there's a lot of third-party games coming out that I'll be getting. But, I am disappointed, and this is where he's coming from a guy who wouldn't pay attention to the other games that I will be paying attention to. But, where are the more unique Switch games coming from Nintendo for at least early 2018? We aren't sure what's coming later in 2018 as well, so right now everything is such a question mark. Whereas back in 2017, when Switch was first announced, we had all of these games we knew were coming out 2017, whereas now in 2018, everything is completely up to Nintendo right now. We have no idea about actual new Switch games coming out. And the issue here is I'm not going to get almost any of these Wii U ports. I will maybe get Hyrule Warriors, but other than that, I'm not getting a single one of them. So where does that leave me for Switch? Indie games that are interesting, that's not a... I'm a huge proponent for indie games. They're fantastic, but they're not system sellers. That's just the fact. They are not system sellers having indie games on the Switch. That's not something that really gets people excited, That's not going to push the Nintendo Switch sales that they want to the 20 million this year or anything like that. So where are the new games? With the Wii, for example, there are games that were coming out. They were using the hardware like Red Steel and, like the Red Steel 2s and all these other games coming out, Marble Sagas, all that kind of stuff. There's all these unique experiences tailored for that system. And I think this is where Nintendo Beyond is coming from here. This guy likes, he's a Nintendo fan for sure. It's not like he doesn't like Nintendo, but he's just so ignorant to everything else that isn't just Nintendo creativity type games that he just ignores them, right? So, and again, that is something that I want to see too. It's like, man, okay, 2017 went through, we got all those games. What is 2018 bringing? Is there a new game coming out here? Is there going to be, even if it's not a new IP, it's like, well, is there going to be a new, Donkey Kong game that has a new twist to it? Or is there some... Wii Play type thing with Nintendo Switch, or is there like a WarioWare, something to really bring out something new and exciting? And right now we haven't heard a damn thing about any of this stuff. All we have is Mario Tennis Aces, which could either be really shit or really good. We'll see. And Kirby Star Allies, which I have no interest in whatsoever because it's just a typical Kirby 2D platformer. I do not care for those whatsoever. It needs to be a unique Kirby game, which, to be fair, they do quite often. So, again, there's not much else announced coming out later. Who knows? All I know is that if everyone's banking on E3, that leaves 5 or 6 months here at the start of 2018 with very few games coming from Nintendo, and we haven't seen much games announced from third parties yet. So if we're supposed to rely just on indie games, which again isn't bad as far as the games go, but as far as how the system is and the health of the system, that is not a good thing. So I'm 100% agreeing with Nintendo Beyond on that point. From his point of view there. But there are other games coming out, and it's not just him. Ports are a huge thing. They need to come out, and I can appreciate that they all are out there. I'm just happy that for me, I just got a PS4 recently, so I have a huge laundry list of games to go over. My backlog is huge, so, even if 2018 at the start isn't filled with anything, crazy or unique, at least I'll be fine. And I still have a backlog of games from 2017 for the Switch that I still have to play through as well. But, again, just to kind of sum up this is probably very rambly and just nothing. But as a Wii U owner that owns most of the games and isn't interested in third parties, Josh Thomas, Nintendo Beyond, that isn't interested in Kirby and isn't interested in indie games, then you just don't like games and you're doing it to yourself, if he's so down on just the idea of ports and all this stuff because of all these circumstances that he brings himself up on here, he's doing it to himself, if he wants to just ignore all these other games, that's fine. Either you just don't like games anymore, you don't get enjoyment out of games, or you're setting a weird-ass standard where all you want are the Nintendo games of old, which kind of makes it seem like that's what it is. And, it's sad to see, but, you don't need to be super ignorant and kind of closed-minded about everything else out there. I don't know. Those are just my 2 cents about this. Again, I am on his side with some of this stuff, whereas I do have a ton of games to play even without too many new ones coming from Nintendo directly. But, this isn't ideal, if these ports are taking up prime dates for releases from normal Nintendo games, say if you know, all I'm saying is if we went through 4 months where Nintendo released a new game every month, but they were all ports of Wii U games that I already bought, there's reason for me to be a little bit upset, you know? Either way, I probably just rambled. None of that probably made any sense. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about kind of the port situation on Switch right now and just kind of 2018 for Switch right now as well. I'd love to see a new Nintendo Direct coming out at some point to announce some new stuff, or at least some dates for some of the stuff we have out there, you know, like the Project Octopath or the Pokemons or Travis, No More Heroes, Travis Strikes Again, all that kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff coming out, but we have no dates, haven't heard anything, haven't even seen gameplay. So I don't know. Either way, that's the end of No Filter Nintendo Podcast episode 10. I hope it was okay. I know I kind of rushed through a lot. I did have a lot to talk about, but I am feeling a little bit under the weather, and this really took a lot out of me. I'm like dying right now. Yeah, thanks guys for watching, and I will see you guys in episode 11.